we've kept up on what he's doing. He occasionally emails me for advice or input, and of course, you were the Oslo College of Business outstanding alumnus.
It was a Spotlight Award,
Yeah.
Alumni Green Award.
Yeah, I was asked to come along, but I have a little daughter who it didn't work out. So it's a pleasure to have him back here on campus, and he's recently moved back to SLO from the Bay Area after 6-7 years away.
I think a little longer. So moved 2013, came back just now. It's been like 9 years or something.
Oh,
10
welcome
years.
back.
So it's really good to be back. I love it here. Like going Silicon Valley versus here, every time.
You know the
It's
road.
great.
You can tell city's growing very, very quickly. A lot of people have found out the hidden treasure here. All right, I got some questions here, so we'll take our time, and let's start out with your time at Cal Poly. You're back on campus, so tell us about your time at Cal Poly and where did your idea come from?
Yeah, so obviously, like all of you, I chose Cal Poly because of the weather, and also like mountain biking, hiking, beach. But besides that, like I think if you choose like a random set of people out of all the thousands of people that are here, you're most likely going to get someone that you want to hang out with. And that was my experience at Cal Poly. Loved every second of it, and really did learn by doing. And so how drop water came to be when I was here, it's all because of you. And I think you probably don't really realize that, but it's true. So I studied industrial technology, and that is a fantastic major, which you have a lot of hands-on experience. It has, I think, one of the greatest classes, IT 407, where you actually make a product, do the packaging, do the marketing, and someone told me you have to make money or you fail. I'm not sure if that was true.
I think it's changed to break even.
Break even. And I made the most dangerous wine bottle opener in the world called Quick Cork, which was a hollow needle with a little hole at the end that was powered by CO2. And with no guards or safety, like it was like an assassin weapon if you wanted to be. But it could also open a bottle of wine in about 2 seconds. And we made 100 of them, sold them each for $50 in one day. And then I was like, whoa, making money this easy? You can just like make something and people buy it. And that like really got me started with drop water. So when I studied with you, I really thought about packaging critically. And from a system perspective as well, not just the package itself. And my senior project revolved around how can you make bottled water not as impactful, or how can I take business away from bottlers, or how do you not buy that? So the senior project was totally off script, and I just wanted to do it, and the current chair at Industrial Technology, Giuseppe, didn't want to grade it because he didn't really know how to grade it, and he found you, I think, to actually grade it. He's in the packaging department. So drop water, yes, we made a machine, or I guess I made a machine here at Cal Poly that bottled drinks at the point of sale, and the first prototype here at Cal Poly during my senior project, it was a reusable bottle, and you'd buy it from the machine, and then you could return it to any other station on campus, and it would sterilize the bottle, refill it, and put a cap on it again. And so you'd have a closed-loop system for packaging. And that was how drop water got started.
So I don't know if you're following him on LinkedIn, but he said in his recent post, I allowed you going a bit off course. What does that mean?
Yeah, instead of following, I think there was like a syllabus or something I had to follow I wasn't supposed to make a product, and I wasn't supposed to prototype, and I wasn't supposed to do all these things, and that's what I really wanted to do. And you allowed me to go off script and do all of that, and I got a passing grade, which is great. I think I got a B- on my senior project. But I was able to think creatively, think outside the box, and actually make something with my hands. And then kind of got addicted to solving the bottled water problem. And that turned into a business years later, which is drop water. So should I talk about what drop water is? That'd be great,
That's
right?
my next question is, why is drop water important to you, and what problem are you trying to solve?
Okay, so I'll tell you about drop water. So we are bottling drinks at the point of sale, so we don't need a shelf life. That's one of the benefits. So imagine a machine, and we make a lot of these machines, that's about 2 feet wide, 5 feet tall, 8 inches deep, and it holds hundreds and hundreds of compostable bottles that are collapsed together. So we ship these bottles empty, and we put them in the stacks in the machines. And the machines are basically replacing a bottling plant. So all these bottles were probably made 2,000 miles away in a central location where they take tap water, filter it, put it in a bottle. I like to call it wrapping them in plastic, and ship it all around the United States or possibly the world. And those bottles probably cost less than a cent. So like polyethylene is like $500 per ton. That's probably less than 10 grams. So that could be half a cent per bottle in material cost. And what we do is we want to get rid of the bottling plant and bring it to the consumer, so we don't need to ship any water at all, and just filter it at the consumer, put it in a package that's made to last a day or two, and then they consume it, and they have a very similar experience without the inefficiency of shipping water from across the globe. So I brought packages, and the reason why we have this bottled water in this box of drop cartons is because there's actually the exact same number of bottles inside of them, and that's how we ship ours. So I'll open it up real quick to show you how we do it. So this is 250 drop cartons. So they get inserted into our machines, and then the machine autonomously fills and seals these. And you can choose whatever temperature you want, what flavor you want, how many milligrams of caffeine you want, and it comes out sealed, ready to go. But additionally, we want to encourage no packaging, because the best packaging is no packaging. So we also have a refilling function where you can get any drink you want in your own container or just water. Last year, one of our machines refilled over 100,000 reusable bottles and sold something like $15,000 worth of drop cartons. So the packaging side is paying for the machine and enabling free refilling, basically.
It makes a lot of sense, right? It's just water. It's not, water from a spring, or if it is, that's fine, because it is not available close to us, but it's municipal water. Why do you need to wrap it and ship it? I am a packaging professor, and packaging is all about, it's a nuisance, it's a necessary evil is how I teach it. You can't live without it. But if you can understand it and create creative solutions like Scott has, and it's amazing to see what you've done here. Moving on, what did you know about starting a company in the earliest days of drop water? And how did you know what to do?
I knew very little about starting a company, but in the early days, so I guess I'll tell you like the moment I decided to start the company. That was when a friend of mine said, hey, like there's a group at MIT that's bottling at the point of sale. And in that moment, like my heart started pounding, like, oh my gosh, someone else is going to do this before me. And so for like 2 weeks, I made a business plan. I've came up with a concept of how it would work, like how the packaging would function, how that robot would function. And I sent a mass email to everyone I knew and just said, I want to dedicate my life to bottling at the point of sale. It's going to benefit humanity because of, one, we don't need a long shelf life. Like the purpose of packaging is just so it can survive from where it's made to where it's consumed. Two, we don't need to ship all this water. And a couple people responded. One was my uncle, who had started a couple businesses before. So he took 2 companies from ideation to going public. And one of them was eMeter, one of them was CellNet. And he formed the company and did like all the basic maintenance stuff you have to do to make a company legit. And then I basically did this part-time for a couple of years until we made a semi-functional prototype, and then a VC walked in, tried the machine, said it looked promising, and the next day he wrote us $1 million check, and we then raised $2.5 million for a seed round in 2016. But I knew nothing about how to start a business. I just asked everyone. Literally everyone I think I knew. Every single person in my Gmail. How do I do this? And just one person responded. So if you didn't respond, I wouldn't be here, actually. Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Sort of.
I went off script a little bit.
I don't want you to tell us your secrets, but I can imagine it's got to be a struggle when you had some mentorship from within the family. How did you just stumble on and found ways to solve problems?
Yeah. Entrepreneurship is just basically constantly running into a wall and then figuring out how to get around it and continuing. So you're going to have to suffer for many years with no end in sight. You're not going to know when you're going to start making money, or when something, or when you get a big break, or when you're going to, somebody wants to give you money to pursue your dreams. So you have to be kind of irrationally hopeful. And I think most successful entrepreneurs are. But yeah, just tap into your network and find a way. You can always find a way.
Good answer. All right, back to your school days then. What was your experience as a student in the IT program? And how well did you prepare you to seek out an entrepreneurial path?
I love the IT program, as I mentioned. IT 407, best class I could ever imagine. So actually creating a product with your own hands and really learning by doing. I think that it did prepare me. At least, like, struggling on your own prepares you. And Cal Poly facilitated that. And with that class specifically, you learn so much by walking into something and finding the answer on your own, rather than having a lot of structure around it. So it was like a very loose class where you have to create a product. What product? And you have to find a way to market, and find a way to make packaging, and find a way to sell it. And that did prepare me quite a bit, I think.
Yeah. So you were not, so back then we had an IT program, now it is ITP, we had packaging, we now have 2 concentrations. I know you were not geared towards packaging. I actually inherited you as a senior project student because somebody else couldn't handle it. That's the truth. But it turned out that you are primarily in packaging. So do you see the ITP program, the IT and the packaging side being cohesive in training the next generation in the field?
Yeah, I think it doesn't need to be. I think that I chose packaging because I just had a passion to solve a problem. And I think I had that solution. And I think if it was just as likely that I found a passion in some other aspect. But I guess because I learned about like injection blow molding bottles and how the system worked, I chose that. So, it's a difficult question to answer.
So, yeah, think of it this way, right? What is IT? It's operations, supply chain, manufacturing. And you are using all of that knowledge to a platform, which is packaging, right? So packaging is a great field and applied application where you can use everything you learn in IT and other courses that you may want to take at Cal Poly. That's what I was trying to drive to.
Yeah, and because we're doing also, you know, the majority of our business is now also in robotics, and not just this. I think if were to show you my product, I'd probably show you the machine that makes the bottles, and not just the bottles. Maybe next time I'll bring in a machine, or maybe hopefully we can get some machines and drop water into this facility or on to Cal Poly campus, so you can really experience it.
That would be amazing. And I don't know if you recall, but 6 or so years ago, you asked me, can I place a machine at Cal Poly? And then I think I've gotten some feedback on we have contracts with. So anyways, it would be great. It would be great to have a bunch of machines here. Yeah, speaking of, where can we find your machines?
We're in all terminals at the San Jose airport. We're in Newark Airport, the Cincinnati Airport. We're in a gym called Gazer Ranch. And the gym does like an incredible amount of volume. They average like 100 bottles per day in July, last summer. Hoping to do more than that this summer. And we've kind of been in this iterative process, making the product good enough, and that we think it's good enough now. So this year we're focusing on expanding. And the reason we moved to San Luis Obispo, not just because it's a great place, we wanted to have our headquarters here and make all of our packaging here. So we just leased out a 10,000 square foot spot just by the airport where we're going to make all of our drop cartons for the entire United States. And we have a capacity of 3 or 4 million cartons per year. And we're actually receiving a giant piece of equipment that'll be the last piece of equipment until we're fully operational tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So
you think?
I think so. We rented the forklift. Hopefully the thing comes.
All right, with the supply chain, hopefully it's not in a container somewhere. All right, moving on. You've been at this for about 8 years now. Walk us through the big milestones that you have been through, and what have been the biggest challenges and how have you addressed them?
Yeah, so milestones and challenges. I think the biggest, I'll give you like 3 or 4 big milestones. So the first one, back in the day, the milestones were really focused on accomplishing like robotics or packaging goals. So the first one was making a carton we could fill and seal at the point of sale. And we made it out of like polypropylene, traditional polymers. The second big milestone was making it 100% compostable. And a lot of things changed with compostable resins. Like your seal on your cap doesn't work anymore. You're heat sealing your film onto your injection molded closure, impossible to do. So we had to invent a new way to do it. Another big milestone was in 2016 when we got our first outside money in from Draper Associates. So Tim Draper walked into our little garage that we were making a machine in. Tim Draper is one of the biggest VCs in the world. He was an early investor in Tesla, SpaceX, Baidu, Skype, and 1,000 other things. He walked in, and we were using an iPad back then. It was like really janky. And everything was 3D printed out of an FDM printer. And by a miracle, it worked. Like everything worked perfectly when he came over. Ordered a drink, worked flawlessly. I was like crossing my fingers. And then like took a sip, looked at us and said, this looks really promising. And then, as I said before, we got a term sheet the next day. So that was a really big milestone. The next one, I think, was probably the first customer. So we had been developing this prototype, and it was like the next gen unit. We were really proud of it, and we needed a customer, but we didn't want to just be like a gym down the street. So I emailed every airport on the West Coast and cold messaged everyone on LinkedIn. And this one person responded from the San Jose airport. It was the head of innovation. Her name was Rebecca. And she said, hey, this seems pretty cool. And she visited us the next week. She thought it was even cooler. And then she set up a meeting with the director of aviation, who's basically the CEO of the airport, and all the decision makers. And she said, can you bring a machine into a conference room in the airport? And his machines back then were like 800 pounds. Literally 800 pounds. And we were like, yeah, never moved a machine before. And found this thing that could move a machine, like rented it. There obviously wasn't a water line in their conference room, so I got a giant tank and a pump from an RV to have my own water supply inside the machine that they didn't know about. Set up the machine and just pitched the dream, and the director of aviation said, yeah, this looks really cool. Let's get you in here. And then 300, I counted every email, 300 emails later, and just over a year later, we got into the airport. And then did a trial, got in there with another machine, got connected to water. That was a big milestone. I guess a recent milestone would be, we have a bunch of patents that have been granted. I think it's machines. Our cost of goods sold on the bottles are really high. We're basically selling dollar bills for free for a long time. These bottles are not easy to make, and now we've fully automated the assembly of it, so we reduced our cost of goods sold by 90%, something like that, and now we can make money. So now we're scaling. So that's the latest milestone, was automating the assembly of these bottles.
Awesome. All right, so let's get to the present then. We are here, right? What advice would you give to offer to the 8 the Cal Poly startups here, and based on your experiences, and do you wish you were here as a student with this kind of an opportunity?
Yeah, I wish I could like turn back time and join what you guys are all going through. It would have been really helpful. So I'll offer 2, maybe 3 words of advice. First, Adam Draper, he says, be the cockroach. So find a way to survive. There's so many times I thought we were going to die, and it looked really bleak. Die, I mean, run out of money and fold up the company. So be the cockroach. Sometimes you have to get lean. And just find a way forward, find a way not to die. Second word of wisdom is from Pitbull, the singer. Ask for money, get advice. Maybe ask for advice, get money twice. So it's so true. Like these are great words. Asking for advice is like critical. And even if you don't get money back, you get advice, which is great. The third is really kind of a story. I wasn't going to tell you because it's kind of like bleak, but I think it's probably important for you guys to know. So in 2011, Tim Draper brought a group of entrepreneurs, including me, to Tesla, to the Model S launch. And we met Elon Musk, and we were asked the same question, like, what inspiring words would you give to an entrepreneur? And he gave us an answer that kind of like made us all scratch our heads. And he said, if you need words of advice, like don't try it all. And that'll kind of like put you into 2 groups, like people that actually want to do it and can suffer for a long time, and then someone that might be offended and be like, oh really? Entrepreneurship is really hard, but if you're wired the right way, it's totally worth it. And it's going to be a grind. Yeah.
Awesome. With that note, we are very extremely proud of what you have achieved. You're making us proud, and we wish you all the best in your future ventures. Welcome back to SLO. His offices, his space is close to the airport. I'm pretty sure you can get a tour.
Yeah, we should do tours. We're looking for interns. Going to be hiring pretty aggressively pretty soon, so I will definitely reach out to this community.
All right, thank you, Scott.
Thank you. All right.